How's it going, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Ricky Reed, and today we're going to be talking about if you need a pedal switcher. So let me just answer that question right off the bat. No, you don't need one, but it is really nice to have, especially if you have a bunch of guitar pedals and you're just tired of tap dancing all over the floor and you just want to get back to playing. So the big pro of having a pedal switcher is usually the most common. Let me pop open this top real quick. I have two overdrive pedals right here. I have the Greer Lightspeed and the King of Tone, the 4-jack model. I could split both sides individually, right? So essentially it's 3. So the verbiage today we're gonna use is a lot about loops. And a loop, as far as the switcher goes, just means that whatever pedal I wanna put into there is going to be assigned a certain number. For instance, the Greer Lightspeed, I've chosen to put it in loop 7 down here. The King of Tone, I have one into loop 5 and the other one into loop 1 as far as the sides go. So what this does is it allows for a lot of flexibility, especially with this switcher, where you can adjust the order digitally without having to move around a bunch of cables. Because you know, some pedals just don't work well or sound their best if they go into a different one, or sometimes if they're stacked or not. So I've already done a video kind of showing how I have my pedal switcher set up in great detail. So I'll link that up top or down in the bottom. Go check that out and let me know if you have any questions about that. For today, let me just kind of run you through it again real quick. So on foot switch 2, we have the Greer Lightspeed. On foot switch 3, we have the right side of the King of Tone, which both these sides are set to overdrive, and they're all going into the Greer Lightspeed. Number 4 is the left side with a little more gain going into light. Foot switch number 5 is all 3 on, all going into the Lightspeed. So I'm only running 2 overdrive pedals, essentially 3 though, since I could split the sides. A lot of people love to run a fuzz or multiple overdrives, just more. And so this is really handy and an easy way to stop tap dancing and just get back to playing. So the next way that a pedal switcher is really handy is if you have MIDI pedals. So MIDI is a whole entire beast, and I still need to do another video on how I set up the gig rig specifically and sending all the MIDI notes, all that kind of stuff. But essentially what it does, there's a cable on the back of the gig rig that's going into the Mobius, into the timeline, into the Big Sky, and all the information is coming from the gig rig that I've set up with certain values, all that kind of stuff. And if you have questions on that, please let me know, and I'd love to go over that in detail. So just using MIDI is about the same as how we did with the overdrives. If I push a foot switch down, it can turn all them off or certain orders, whatever I need with the one push of a foot switch. So let me demonstrate that real quick. If we go down to the bottom, I'm on my clean setting with just a little bit of slap. If I push it twice, it's going to take me to my ambient setting, turning on the Big Sky and the timeline. Push another foot switch, octave, turns on all 3. And then I could go right back to clean in an instant. I can go over here for a dotted. When that's combined with overdrive pedals and MIDI pedals, you just have so many options that you could just put on one foot switch. All right, so the third way that pedal switches are awesome and is just a great utility tool is, it might be a little more specific, but on the Gig Rig G3, and I know you can do it on the Boss one, you can level match a lot of your patches just right on the front. So there's no need for a boost pedal or a dedicated boost pedal that you have to run into a loop. It just gives you a clean boost and buffers your signal going in as well. So let me show what that sounds like. So if we look down on the gig rig, you can see this bar, this post, that means that the volume coming out of the gig rig is going to be sent at whatever volume I have that set to. So that is controlled by these arrows right here. And as you can see, as I switch between different patches, that level changes. So on my clean setting, I have it boosted quite a bit. If If I go to my overdrive, and if I didn't have the clean boosted, there would be such a drastic level of volume change that would be distracting. So let me show you what it sounds like without the boost on. So I'm gonna go over here, click it all the way back down. Here's that lowered. So hopefully you can hear that huge difference. This just makes it such a great tool to level match if you have so many different pedals that you don't want to change how much gain you have going into it just to equalize the volume. That function may not just be specific to the Gig Rig or the Boss. I'm sure the RJM stuff does it and just a bunch of other loopers. So make sure you do your research and you can figure out which switcher is better for you. And I know there's a great Vertex video or just there's so many out there that kind of give you a guide on which switcher would work best for you. So that's all the good stuff about a pedal switcher. Let's go to why you maybe would want to stay away from one. So if you plan on using a switcher, it takes so much planning of layout and just getting cables the right way, just trying to be tidy. You don't have to be, but it definitely is more fun that way. It's kind of like playing Legos. But depending on which switcher you go with, some are less flexible. For instance, the Gig Rig is extremely flexible, so I could just put whatever pedal I want into whatever loop and move that later digitally within the system without having to move a bunch of cables. Some don't have the option of rearranging loops. So sometimes they're just a switcher that you could plug your overdrives into and there's just a single row at the bottom. So if you get a pedal switcher without the option to rearrange loops, you're kind of set in concrete of how you run your pedals and your order. For instance, if I wanted to put the King of Tone after my light speed, if I had a different switcher, I wouldn't be able to do that unless I actually move the cables. And at that point, you'll need maybe your cable doesn't reach or it just isn't neat anymore. All those kind of things play a factor, and that's maybe why you wouldn't want to do a pedal switcher. So if you're a player who likes to switch out a bunch of pedals often, maybe having a switcher isn't the best thing for you because then you'll have to rearrange loops and you may just not be happy with what order you have to run your pedals in. Another con of having a pedal switcher is the lack of flexibility. I was talking about how we can have so much flexibility, right? With the rearranging loops, all that kind of stuff. But honestly, nothing beats a pedal board whenever you want, when everything's laid out and you have the ability to turn it on or off with just a foot switch. Yeah, it does require a little more tap dancing, but you do get the sound that you want to fit any moment that you want and put that sound that's in your head in your fingers. So the last con I can think of having a pedal switcher is just the cost. For instance, the Gig Rig, I think it goes for around $1,500 US. So that makes it the most expensive pedal on my board. And if you're not using it to its full capability with all the MIDI or all the loops, so right now I'm not even doing it justice. I only have 3 loops of the 12 being used. That may not be worth it to you. But I do a lot of worship guitar stuff that takes a lot of reverbs and delays, and just switching often in between those verses and bridges, all that kind of stuff, that a pedal switcher definitely helps me get the job done. So like I said in the beginning, is a pedal switcher needed? No, definitely not, but it is really fun and handy if it fits your needs. If you have any questions about pedal switchers or which one I'd recommend other than the Gig Rig, please let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching and have a good one.